right, welcome back to the morning show. It's coming up on 6:50. It's Wednesday. That only means one thing. It's Matt's turn to inform us with his physics magic. And today, our U of I physics professor, Matt Sellon, is talking about sun energy.
Right. Solar energy is one of those things that's heralded as clean, and you don't have to burn fossil fuels. It doesn't have greenhouse emissions, all that good stuff. So there are actually lots of ways that you can get energy from the sun, and it's worth really looking into this stuff. And last week, well, actually, the obvious thing is one of these, right?
I have those.
So we have those around our decks and things like that, and so you can get these at Menards or whatever, and it's got a little solar cell on top. And what a solar cell is, it's a crystal of silicon, and when light hits it, it basically separates charge. You have positive holes and negative electrons that get essentially pushed apart, and they flow around through a circuit. And it's like a little electrical generator just by light hitting it. And so these things sit there during the day, and the sun hits them, and then at night there's a little solar, or there's a thing that senses the light level, and so if you cover up the solar cell, it thinks it's nighttime, and the little light inside comes on. So if you there we go, like that.
There you go.
See, if I cover it up, you see the little light comes on. Yeah. And so during the day it charges, and during the night the little LED emits light. And you can make these things now as opposed to many years ago. Even though you had solar cells then, these LEDs, these really bright LEDs, didn't exist. They're kind of a new invention, and they were essentially invented here at the University of Illinois.
Really?
Yeah. Basically.
Very good. And did you invent those?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
if you did, you'd probably be gone by now, right?
I'm not smart enough to do that. And so, okay. So, but you can get energy out of the sun. And you can put it on a solar panel. So here I have a little solar panel, and I have a bright light over here, which is supposed to be just like the sun, although I realize it's so bright in the studio that it wouldn't have to do that anyway. And you can do the same thing that we did last week. Remember last week we had those two cylinders, and we separated water into hydrogen and into oxygen. And here I'm doing this this is called a fuel cell. So instead of little platinum electrodes and that big honking power supply and all that stuff, all we have is a little solar cell, and we have a little tank of water right here, and there's a membrane called a proton exchange membrane with a little platinum in it and some electrodes and things that are right in the middle here. Yeah. And when I plug this into the solar cell, oh, I don't know, half an hour ago, down at the bottom here, if you kind of focus in on this thing, there was no gas at all. These things were empty, and the gases you see below the white thing on the right side on the camera is oxygen, and on the left side is hydrogen. There's twice as much hydrogen right here. Yeah. Okay, now, so that's not surprising. You can actually use the sun to give you hydrogen and oxygen from water. But what's kind of cool is that a fuel cell, you can run it in reverse. So I just unplug this thing. Okay, so now I have oxygen over here, and I've got hydrogen on the other side. I'm going to put this on a little car. See if I can make this thing so it doesn't fall over. There we go. And I can just plug in this car, essentially. It's just a little motor, a little electric motor. Well, let me just turn it upside down. And I'm just going to plug this into this the same place. There we go. See how that moves? And so what happens now is that you now have this proton exchange membrane allows hydrogen gas and oxygen gas to combine, and it gives off electricity, and it gives off a little bit of heat. And so now if you were to watch this thing for half an hour, you would see the level of these gases just go down very, very slowly until they were gone again. And so you kind of ran the whole thing in reverse.
You'd be out of gas.
So you'd be out of hydrogen, right. So basically, solar energy is running this car because you charged up the fuel cell, and now you're discharging it, and essentially you're getting work out of it.
And you're working on a car that you can drive around like this, right?
Oh, yes, and I'll take any venture capital investors who want to send me checks. Please do.
I thought that was, but you can send that at wcia.net, right?
Right. And there are, I don't know how much.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. Okay, that's that. Of course, I always talk too much. So when we come back, I'll show you different ways of getting energy out of heat.
All right, we will do that coming up in 30 minutes. But if you want to see this one again, just go to Matt's website, wcia.net. 6:53.